Hi, everyone. Welcome again to Ivy English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today, we start with our two short articles. This first one asks the question about, is mackerel a kind of fish and is it sustainable?
好，那我们这个中文的标题呢是过度捕捞，青鱼不再是永续海鲜。What is a sustainable fish? Is it kind of a fish?
Sustainable is a word that means that you can use it and it won't get used up and it won't damage the environment. That's what they're using it here.
好，那这个地方呢 sustainable 在这里呢指的是具有永续性的。那所谓的 a sustainable fish 就是指这个鱼呢我们可以吃，好，它还没有这个灭种啊灭绝的这个危险，它可以永续的吃下去。
Okay, here we go with our two paragraphs. Mackerel, a versatile and an affordable fish, popular in the United Kingdom, has recently been downgraded in a sustainability rating system. The UK's Marine Conservation Society, MCS, moved mackerel from green to amber on its Good Fish Guide. The drop in ratings is due to the overfishing of mackerel in recent years. Mackerel has long been considered a more sustainable option for those who like to consume seafood. However, the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea, ICES, has assessed that mackerel fishing countries have overfished the fish by 41% on average in the last decade. The MCS stated that the move from green to amber doesn't mean people should completely cut mackerel from their diets, but rather eat it in moderation and consider other more sustainable options. Okay, let's go back. Mackerel, a versatile and an affordable fish popular in the United Kingdom, has recently been downgraded in a sustainability rating system. If something is versatile, it can be used in many different ways. And if we're talking about a food, that means it can be prepared in a number of ways. For example, for fish, we can put it in the oven and bake it. We can fry it in oil. What they're talking about here is if something is versatile, there's more than one way that it can be prepared. And it's affordable. It's not very expensive, at least in the UK, which of course would make mackerel very popular. Also, we learned that mackerel has been downgraded. This means it's losing points. It is seen as having more problems than before. If something is downgraded, it's getting worse. How? In a sustainability rating system. A rating system is basically a report card with people giving their opinions about how good or not so good something is in terms of sustainability. That is, some people will say, oh, come on, we got plenty of mackerel. We don't have to be cheap about it. Enjoy it. And others would say, well, there's a lot less of it than there used to be, and maybe we should be cautious about consuming a lot of it.
那我们来看这个句子，它的主词当然就第一个是 mackerel， 那后面呢一对逗点是加了一个同位语。什么叫做 mackerel？ 我们要补充什么资讯呢？就用同位语来补充。它是一种怎么样 versatile 本来是指多才多艺的，那它也可以指多用途的，或者是在这里呢其实也包括各种不同的烹调法，可以煎，可以炸，可以烤，可以蒸等等的。好，所以它是一种 versatile fish， 多用途的各种，它有很多烹调方法的。然后呢，它也是一种an affordable fish。affordable 就是可以负担得起的，也就是价格实惠的啊，大家买得起的这样的一种鱼。那这种鱼呢，它还有一个特色，它是怎么样？是 which is popular in the United Kingdom。那 which is 就省略掉了，那就是说这种鱼呢，在英国它非常的 popular， 所以在英国特别受到欢迎。其实亚洲、台湾应该也蛮多人吃青鱼的。那这种鱼呢， 这个逗点就是补充完资讯之后，这句话真正的动词在 has recently been downgraded， 最近它被降级了。 downgraded 就是降级，那 grade 就是一个一个等级， down 就是往下。那在哪里被降级呢？在一个 sustainability rating system， 一个永续的评级的系统。 rating system 就是它给你打等级，那这样一个系统。那这个系统显然它这个是根据永续性来做这样的一个平等系统，所以在这样的一个永续性的平等系统里面，它被降级了。
So the UK's Marine Conservation Society, or shortened to MCS, they moved mackerel from green, okay, to amber, watch out, on its good fish guide. Apparently the guide to what fish you can eat.
好，所以呢，这个英国的海洋保护协会 conservation 就是保护保育，那 society 就是协会。那英国的海洋保护协会，它最近 moved 就是移动或者是调整，它所谓的调整在这里指的是移动的调整。它把这个青鱼从哪里调整或者移动呢？从绿灯或者绿色等级，然后呢 from green to amber， amber 就是本来是琥珀色，那这里指的是黄色，好，所以从绿色把它调到黄色了。在哪里调呢？在它的这个 Good Fish Guide， 就是好鱼指南。那这个地方其实是相反，它这个如果绿的话，就表示说它的永续性很高，好，所以你就放心吃没关系。可是呢，现在它的永续性没有那么高了，它就把它往下调，所以变成黄色的，就稍微要注意一下了。就这个鱼不是说以前想的那样子永远吃不完。
The drop in ratings is due to the overfishing of mackerel in recent years. Well, we just mentioned downgraded, and that will be the drop in ratings. How did this happen? We learn it's due to the overfishing of mackerel in recent years. In the last few years, this fish, probably because it is both affordable and versatile to prepare, has been overfished. The fishing ships and boats are catching too many mackerel.
好，所以各位看到这个 the drop in something， drop 就是往下掉，本来是丢的意思，放下来的意思，在这里就是下降的意思。所以 the drop in 在哪方面的下降呢？在这个 ratings 加了一个 s， 就表示不同的评定的等级。所以青鱼在不同评定等级里面的这个下降呢 is due to， 它的原因是什么呢？是 the overfishing 就是过度的捕捞， fishing 在这里当然就是指捕鱼， over 就是过度了。那过度捕捞的青鱼，这个是 in recent years， 就近几年来大家过度捕捞的青鱼，所以它平等就下降了。
So mackerel has long been considered a more sustainable option for those who like to consume seafood. So if something is considered something, it means it's thought of to be, or people think of it like that. And what do they think of mackerel? They think it's a more sustainable option. An option is a choice, and sustainable means you can use it and it's okay because it will renew itself. So we're like, oh yeah, it's okay, mackerel, there's a lot of it. We can continue to consume it. We can continue to eat it, sure.
好，然后呢 mackerel 怎么样呢？ has long been considered something， 所以这个各位可以把这个语快学起来，这英文很常见，就是 A has long been considered B， 就是 A 长久以来一直被认为是 B。 那这里的 A 就是这个 mackerel， 青鱼呢长久以来一直被认为是怎么样呢？被视为或被认为是 B 就是 a more sustainable option， 是比较具有永续性的一个选项，也是比较不需要担心它会灭绝的这样的一个选项。对谁来讲是一个比较 more sustainable option 呢？表示为了谁？ For those 就是 those people， 然后呢后面 who like to 就是对于那些喜欢 consume 食用 seafood 海鲜的人来讲，它一直被认为是这个比较具有永续性的，所以你可以放心的吃，它不会绝种的。
However, the International Council for the Exploration of the Sea, and we shorten it to ICES, has assessed that mackerel fishing countries have overfished the fish by 41% on average in the last decade. So this society or group or council, whose members are from different countries, so it's international, well, they explore the seas. They're concerned about the health of the oceans, some people would say. They have assessed, they have studied, and the result of their study is they say mackerel fishing countries have overfished the fish The fish, of course, is mackerel. There are too many countries, or there are too many boats anyway, from different countries. They've fished too much. How much? By 41% too much on average. Sometimes it would be above that. Sometimes it would be below that.
That means some people are like doing 200% of the fish they should take?
In the last decade. So in the last 10 years, the overfishing on average has been 41% of the total stock of mackerel. Of course, they regenerate, but not enough.
好，但是呢，底下这个是国际海洋探索委员会 ，exploration 就是探索。那国际海洋探索委员会呢 ，has assessed 就是评估 ，assess 是评估。那大家记得它的长相很特别啊，就2个 S 加1个 E， 总共4个 S。中间放一个 E， 所以 ASSESS， 然后 ED 这是过去式，所以他们评估说这个 mackerel fishing countries 就是捕捞青鱼的国家怎么样呢？他们过度捕捞的 the fish 就是指青鱼啊，过度捕捞就是超过多少呢？超过 41% 的过度捕捞，所以他们就说过度捕捞了 41% 的鱼。那 on average 就平均这个过度捕捞了这么多的鱼 in the last decade 在过去的10年里面啊，当过度捕捞了。
The MCS stated that the move from green to amber, so going from sure it's okay to hey have some caution, this doesn't mean people should completely cut mackerel from their diets. It doesn't mean that you should, 100% stop eating mackerel, but rather eat it in moderation and consider other more sustainable options like plants, I guess.
好，那这个呢 MCS 就是英国的海洋保护协会呢 stated that 他们表示 the move from green to amber 就是评定等级从绿色调降到黄色这样的一个事情呢 doesn't mean 并不表示说人们应该要 completely 完全地 cut mackerel from their diets 就他们的饮食，所以cut 在这里就减掉，也就是删除，所以这个调降等级并不表示人们必须或者是应该完全把青鱼从他们的饮食里面拿掉，所以换句话说还是可以吃 but rather 而是说要 eat it 要吃青鱼呢要怎么样 in moderation 就是适度地，这个不要吃太多，这个不要过度的吃，然后呢同时也应该要 consider 要考虑一下其他的 more sustainable 更具有永续性的 options 选项。
Okay, now let's take a look at our second short article. Children miraculously survive in the Amazon for 40 days.
好，我们的中文标题是四童困亚马逊雨林40天后奇迹获救。
I once survived in New York for 40 hours.
That bad?
That's
Without
not
a microwave?
Okay, I'll read through this. People in Colombia are rejoicing after finding 4 children who survived a plane crash and then spent the next 40 days lost in the harsh and dangerous Amazon rainforest. The children between the ages of 13 and under 1 were traveling in a small plane with their mother and 2 other adults, including the pilot. The plane suddenly crashed while flying over the Amazon rainforest. Unfortunately, the children's mother and the other adults did not survive the crash. After waiting some time at the crash site, the children went further into the jungle as they tried to stay alive. The Colombian government organized a massive search and rescue mission to save the kids. For weeks, the rescue team kept finding clues about the children's whereabouts. Eventually, they discovered the children approximately 5 kilometers away from the crash site.
So, people in Colombia are rejoicing. They're happy, they're excited because they found 4 children who survived a plane crash. First of all, it's amazing they survived the plane crash because nobody else in that plane did survive. And then they spent the next 40 days, that's more than a month, that's 5 weeks, lost in the harsh and dangerous Amazon rainforest, notoriously full of predators.
好，所以呢 people in Colombia 就是哥伦比亚的人们呢 are rejoicing. Rejoice 就是欢庆 to feel joyful. 那他们在很庆祝很高兴 after 在什么之后觉得很高兴呢 在他们找到了4个小孩，那这4个孩童呢是怎么样 ？Who survived a plane crash? Survive 在这里是及物动词，就是 to live through， 就是活过了，没有在中间上升，所以他们活过了一个坠机事件 ，a plane crash， 所以飞机坠机了，可是他们没有死的意思。然后呢，他们接下来又 花了这个接下来的40天，就是坠机之后的40天 ，the next 40 days。然后呢，接下来40天，他们的状态是迷路了 ，lost。在哪里迷路呢？在这个 harsh， 就是很严厉的、很严峻的，然后呢 dangerous， 很危险的亚马逊的雨林里面。所以他们在坠机之后呢，在雨林里面迷了40天，找不到路出来。
The children, we know there were 4 of them, between the ages of 13 and under 1. Under 1 means not even 1 year old, so basically a baby. Were traveling in a small plane with their mother and 2 other adults, including the pilot. So that means there were 7 people in the plane when it crashed.
好，那我们可以看到这个地方讲这些小孩，那同位语，他们 between the ages of， 他们是年纪是介于 between the ages of， 就是年纪介于13岁，还有呢 under 1， 就是还有一个是不到1岁，所以基本上根本就是个 baby。那他们 they were traveling in a small plane。 travel 在这里不一定是旅游的意思，事实上 travel 也可以表示 to go from one place to another， 所以他们就其实中文大概就是搭乘飞机的意思，他们正在搭乘一架小飞机。那他们跟谁搭？这个小孩是跟谁搭这个小飞机呢？跟他们的妈妈，还有呢 two other adults， 还有其他2位大人。那这个 other 很重要，因为他妈妈也是一个 adult， 所以你不能说 with their mother and 2 adults， 那就很奇怪了，那好像他妈妈不是 adult 所以呢各位要注意英文这里一定要加一个 other， 所以他妈妈还有另外2位大人，换句话说有3位大人。然后呢其他2位大人是 including，这包括 the pilot， 包括飞机驾驶。换句话说，这架飞机上面除了驾驶之外，是有6位乘客，其中2个成人，那4个小孩。
The plane suddenly crashed while flying over the Amazon rainforest. That is how you describe a plane crash when no one knows what happened.
Yeah， 好，所以这个坠机，而且 suddenly 突然之间crashed， 这个坠毁了。那这里其实就是因为不知道为什么坠毁，所以我们就用 suddenly。通常我们看到 suddenly crashed 就表示没有人知道为什么，它突然就这样坠毁了。当它 flying over， 当它正在飞越这个亚马逊的雨林的时候，突然它就坠毁了。
Unfortunately, the children's mother and the other adults did not survive the crash. So sadly, here are 4 children without their mother or 2 other adults to help them.
好，那 unfortunately 不幸地，这些小孩的妈妈还有呢其他的成人 did not survive the crash， 并没有在这个坠机当中活下来，所以最后就剩下这4个小孩要自己求生了。
After waiting some time at the crash site, the children went further into the jungle as they tried to stay alive. Now, some backstory here is actually these children spent time in the Amazon rainforest with their mom. And also, the other interesting thing you should know is the mom actually survived the plane crash, but she did not survive waiting to be rescued. And so she told them, she reminded them of all the, they already had a lot of knowledge of how to stay alive in a rainforest, actually. And they learned it from their mom. And then the way that they found the kids is that they projected the grandma's voice through a loudspeaker over the jungle, asking the kids to please stay in place. Because the children were moving around, I think because the mom told them don't stay in one place too long because predators.
所以这个 Angela 老师说呢，这个地方虽然我们先看这句话，他说呢，他们在这个等了一段时间 sometime 就是他们等了一段时间，在哪里呢？在这个坠机的现场 the crash site 就是指他们的这个坠机的当场那个当地现场，在那里等了一段时间之后呢，他们就 went further， 他们就继续怎么样 into the jungle， 就往森林里面就继续前进了。那这 as 就是当他们怎么样，当他们 try to stay alive， 试着要活下来的时候，他们就往森林里面走了。那刚刚 Angela 老师提供了一些背景知识就是这些小孩其实之前有跟他妈妈到雨林去过，他妈妈也有教他们一些在雨林求生的一些知识，所以这是第一件事情。所以他们之前其实是有一点这种知识的，这个其实后来就救命了，就变得救命的知识。那另外一点呢，就是他们的妈妈其实坠机的时候并没有当场上升，但后来等太久了，他妈妈实在不行了就去世了。但去世之前有跟孩子们就复习一下，你们等一下要怎么样怎么样怎么样，你们 接下来怎么样才能求生。那最后当然怎么找到呢？听说他们是一直播放用他这个 grandmother 他的阿嬷的声音告诉他们你们不要跑啊，就待在原地啊，可能因为妈妈跟他们讲说你们要不断的移动，因为会有那个掠食者，所以在经过这些各种各样的一些因素加在一起，终于让这4个小孩获救。
The Colombian government organized a massive search and rescue mission to save the kids. Not surprising here, the air crash was in the country of Colombia, which is one of half a dozen countries in South America, which is in the Amazon basin, and it's a dangerous place, whether you're children or adults. So they organized a massive there are probably dozens or maybe scores of people with planes and all kinds of equipment for their rescue to save the kids.
好，那哥伦比亚政府呢 organized 组织了 a massive 就大规模的 search and rescue mission， 就是搜救任务。 search 是搜， rescue 是救， mission 是任务。他们组织了大规模的搜救任务，要拯救这些小孩的性命， save the kids。For
weeks, the rescue team kept finding clues about the children's whereabouts. So they knew they were alive because they saw evidence of the children being alive, but then they couldn't find the children, and it was quite frustrating.
好，那 for weeks 就是有好几个礼拜的时间呢，这个搜救队 the rescue team kept finding 他们不断的找到，这 kept finding 意思上字面上的意思，他们保持找到的状态，那其实就是中文就是这样讲，中文应该讲成不断地找到，他们不断地找到一些线索，关于这些孩子们的 whereabouts 就是下落。
Eventually, finally, they discovered the children approximately 5 kilometers away from the crash site. If you're more familiar with the miles system, that would be 3 miles away from the crash site. But if you think about it, after all that time, if the kids had just gone in a straight line, they could be 20, 30 miles away from the crash site.
Eventually, 最后呢，他们发现了小孩，然后是 approximately 就是大约是5公里的距离 away from 从哪里算5公里呢？从那个失事现场算是5公里，所以这些小孩其实没有直线的一直走，那样就找不到了。所以他们可能我猜可能很聪明，他们可能是在这个 crash site 附近绕圈圈，这样才最后才离 crash site 只有5公里而已。
Okay, we have a couple questions for you now at the end of this lesson. The first, why has mackerel recently been reduced to a lower rank in a sustainability rating system? We mentioned that mackerel is no longer green to go. You can eat as much as you like, to amber. Please consider other sources at least sometime. So mackerel has a lower rank than it used to in terms of sustainability.
好，所以题目问说，为什么青鱼最近在永续性的平等这个系统里面，它被降级呢？那答案是 due to the overfishing of mackerel in recent years， 因为近年来青鱼受到过度的捕捞。
Okay, and our number 2 question is actually a kind of close test. What word, of all the words in the articles, both of them, I guess they're the second one only, find one of those words and put it into this sentence. Larry could not account for his blank at the time of the murder.
好，这个是一个填充题，那它的题目是说 Larry 没有办法交代清楚 account for 他的什么东西 at the time of the murder， 就是凶杀案发生的时候，他没有办法清楚的交代他的什么东西呢？我们要找哪一个字呢？
And the answer is whereabouts. And honestly, whereabouts, accounting for whereabouts at the time of a murder is like a very common crime collocation in like true crime shows. So Larry could not account for his whereabouts at the time of the murder. That means Larry is a suspect.
好，所以这个地方我们要填的是 whereabouts。那这个是很常见的 collocation 就是 account for someone's whereabouts at the time of the murder 就是在凶杀案发生的时候，他人在哪里，他能不能讲得清楚的意思。
Okay, that's it for our 2 short reading lessons today. We'll be back in a few days with our monthly vocabulary test. Until then,
bye-bye.